All right, let's focus now on Connecticut, Mystic, Connecticut here. There is one of the state's largest children's hospitals in the state of Connecticut just announced that it will soon end their gender care program or their sex change treatments for people under the age of 19. In a statement, Connecticut Children's Hospital says they made the decision after, quote, thoughtful consideration and guidance from medical and legal experts. The hospital is one of many in recent months to stop these sex change procedures for kids. Our team made this list here that shows some of the hospitals that have switched policies. Obviously, a result of the change and what we know about this, how dangerous it is, also leadership from President Trump. It follows his executive order that now prohibits the use of federal funds for any services that support the sex change of a child. Jonathan DeBarros is a congressional candidate from the 5th District of Connecticut. He joins us now. He's working to change the situation in that state. Charles Smith is also with us. He's a father from Connecticut with a personal connection to this story. Gentlemen, great to have you both here. Charles, let's start with you and tell us what happened with your daughter and why you're so passionate about this issue.
Well, sir, it really started when our former Governor Malloy passed this thing called the transgender therapy law, which really kind of handcuffed a therapist from anything but guiding the child into that path if they talked about it. Instead of, it used to be, you know, the therapist was more open. They would listen to the family, talk to the family. Once this law passed, some good therapists just left the profession. I know one personally that just left because it was just Leviathan. It was just way too difficult. And, you know, honestly, after that got passed, my daughter, you know, her therapist, they didn't want to talk to us, didn't know us because we weren't supportive of this. We were not even spoken to about it. That's really kind of what started some of these things off in our state.
So the governor passed this policy. Your daughter, identified as a male, wanted to transition. You obviously didn't like that. And as a parent, you felt like you had no rights in this process. Is that the case, Charles? All right, we'll try to get back. We lost his connection. But let's go on to Jonathan DeBarros now, who's running for Congress. John, this is one of the main issues that has inspired you to run for Congress. Tell us about why you chose to do this.
Well, I just felt as though that the parents weren't being heard, their rights weren't being protected. The government of Connecticut, the state government, has violated their constitutional liberties, and they're making money off of the profitizing off of the mutilation of children. And unfortunately, over 3,000 children a year are going into foster care because of DCF, and these kids are being sexually abused, they're being mutilated, and I just think that is just terrible. And the candidates that they've been running in our district and currently, you know, in our state are just not addressing this issue, not on the federal level. I mean, every congressional seat that we have right now is held by the Democrats, and they're all in support of mutilating children for monetary gain. And I'm just tired of it. And I decided that it's time for somebody to stand up for the American people here in Connecticut. And I took on the fight. And when I found out about Charles Smith's case, it just broke my heart and it devastated me. And then once I started to dig deeper, I realized that this is the trend in Connecticut. And this has been going on for years. And it's time for somebody to stand up and fight for these children. And I decided to take on the fight.
We recently met in Washington, D.C. I learned a little bit about you and, you know, other reasons why you're running for Congress in Connecticut. The 5th District is the western side of Connecticut that borders New York. In 2024, it was a pretty close race, about 6 points. I think 6 or 7 points separated the Republican candidate from the Democrat who ultimately won. And John, I can't remember, you're an electrician, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
I'm an electrician. My wife is a registered nurse. She has a master's degree in nursing. I'm a blue-collar worker. You know, I come from the same environment that Jayhana Hayes, my opponent, comes from the city of Waterbury. The reason why Connecticut hasn't had a Republican win a federal election over 20 years is because they do zero urban outreach. The previous candidate, George Logan, did no urban outreach. When you talk to African Americans and Hispanics, they're very conservative by nature. And if you talk to them about this gender affirming care, they're against it.
Yeah.
But nobody's talking to these people. So I'm the first candidate in Connecticut to do this, and I'm fighting on behalf of not only the parents, I'm fighting on behalf of our law enforcement officers who have been neglected. The town that I live in Plymouth, Connecticut, they've been trying to get a police station for over 15 years. They have filing cabinets inside their bathrooms, leaky ceilings. But because we're predominantly a Republican town, Johanna Hayes won't even try to fight to get any funding earmarked for our district.
Wow.
For a law enforcement. Yeah, it's terrible. And her husband is a former police officer. They have no respect for Republicans in our state. They have no respect for parents. Attorney William Tong actually threatened a pastor by the name of Jake Dow out of Woodbury, Connecticut, who has been addressing this issue publicly on X, very different social media networks.
Which seems like, John, could be a huge, massive violation of the pastor's First Amendment rights to, speak about his religious beliefs on this topic. But you mentioned the Attorney General, William Tong. He's also filed a multi-state lawsuit challenging President Trump, part of these Democrat groups that are challenging what President Trump wants to do. He says, quote, gender-affirming care is essential, life-saving medical treatment that supports individuals living as their authentic selves, and the decision to pursue such treatment should not involve the federal government, period, full stop. Charles is back with us. What the Attorney General of Connecticut, Charles, seems to forget is that parents should have a say in this process as well. The state government should not pull an end around on the parents.
That's exactly what they do. Period. So what happens is, sir, because Christian family. My wife and I are a Christian family. We have a daughter. We do not have a son. If you think I have a son, you are more mentally ill than my poor daughter.
Yeah.
That kind of got me in hot trouble with them. So that's okay, though, because the facts are